Hopefully now you've got a pretty solid body of your paper, but I want to spend some time talking about how to work on the introduction and the conclusion. This will make a very positive impact on this paper and actually any paper you write. Um, these are very important parts of your paper. The introduction, and we often forget about these parts, the introduction attracts the reader and prepares them for what is to come. The conclusion reinforces the points you made in the paper and leaves the reader with something to think about. The introduction. The first sentence of your paper must grab the reader's attention. You shouldn't start off your paper with something like, "This is my paper about so-and-so topic." That will turn your reader off right away. Think about those magazines you see as you go out in the grocery aisle or Walmart, where the headlines just scream out at you with something exciting to read. You want to say something that will get the reader's attention. You can ask the reader a question. Not, "Do you like blue?" because that's a yes or no answer, but some sort of question that will get them engaged, get them involved, getting them thinking. You use a quotation. You can use a catchy part of your story. If you're telling about something that happened to you or your child or something that happened in the community, you can start with a catchy part of the story that will catch the reader's attention. Then, after that, give the reader any background information that is needed to understand. What does the reader need to know about your topic? What are the facts? What are the information that the reader might know? Then the last sentence of the introduction should be your main idea, your thesis statement that you developed, your argument. That should be the last sentence of your introduction. So your introduction will grab the reader's attention, give the reader any background information that the reader needs to know, and then end with your thesis statement. Now, of course, we've talked about the body. Here's a YouTube video that tells you sort of the same thing I've told you, but hopefully gives you a little more information there.
Hello, everyone. This is Michelle, and welcome to this brief review of the introductory paragraph. Your introduction is your first chance to establish credibility with the reader, and one rarely gets a second chance to make a first impression. To be effective, your introductory paragraph must do three things. First, an introduction should grab the reader's attention. Second, the introduction should narrow the reader's focus and provide a connection to the last and most important part, your thesis, which must be presented as the central or controlling idea. A common way to construct your introduction is by using the funnel approach. At the beginning, you grab the reader's attention, showing that you, the writer, will be in control. In the middle portion of the funnel, you gradually narrow the reader's focus in preparation for the thesis, which is stated at the end or tip of the funnel. Let's take a closer look at each part. Generally, the first sentence of the introduction grabs the reader's attention and introduces the topic in a way that communicates its importance. You can accomplish this by using a surprising statistic, asking the reader a question, providing a strong quote, or historical background. Why go to so much trouble in the introduction? The introduction is where you, the writer, will either come across as someone who is in command of the topic or someone who is lacking the confidence or knowledge. The middle of the introduction provides any background information necessary to prepare the reader for the thesis. The main purpose of this section is to connect the intro's opening with the thesis. Without this connection, the thesis can come as a surprise to the reader, who has not been adequately prepared for it. At the tip of the funnel comes the thesis statement. This is when the reader becomes fully aware of your argument or major point. The two main features of the thesis are, first, it addresses your assignment in a direct way, even to the point of repeating key words of the assignment directions. Second, the thesis presents your point of view or slant on the topic. The thesis is the core of your writing, around which all of the other parts revolve, and it must be showcased here in your introduction. There are three techniques usually frowned upon when writing an introduction. First, avoid being vague or hesitant, which immediately raises readers' doubt.
Using first person is
Using
also
first
a
person
no-no,
is also
unless
a
the
no-no,
assignment
unless
requires
the
it.
assignment
And
requires
finally,
it. And
avoid
finally,
the obvious
avoid the obvious
announcement
statement
this
such
paper
as,
will
this
discuss
paper
as
will
a way to
discuss
begin
as
or
a way
end
to
your
begin
introduction.
or end your introduction. Let's take a quick look at an effective introduction that combines these elements. As humans celebrate the new year, most are unaware that nearly two-thirds of polar bears will likely vanish by 2013 because of global warming. As you can see, it begins with a startling statistic that underscores the topic's importance. Next, with polar ice melting at alarming rates, bears are starving and drowning, and scientists search for ways to prevent their extinction. This sentence provides a logical connection or bridge between the opening and the all-important thesis, which is to come. And finally, for polar bears to survive, humans must reduce global warming by conserving energy and reducing greenhouse gases, or soon it will be us facing extinction. Here is the thesis, which states a clear point of view that will be developed in the body. Throughout your college career, please remember that you may submit your introduction or any part of your rough draft to our database. One of our writing advice.
And actually, that's not available to you. That's from another school. But that being said, you have NetTutor, and you can certainly contact me if you have any questions. But that's just sort of another look at the introduction. Now, the conclusion. The conclusion shouldn't be just a sentence at the end that wraps things up. It needs to be a separate paragraph. The conclusion gives a sense of closure to your paper. It lets the reader. Have you ever watched a movie or a television show that just didn't really have an ending? It just sort of stopped. It's very frustrating. You should begin the conclusion, the first sentence of your conclusion. Remember, this is a separate paragraph at the end of your paper. Should begin with a restatement of the main idea or thesis statement. There are two reasons for this. First, that signals to the reader, hey, I'm finishing up, I'm concluding, get ready for the end. Second, it reminds the reader what your main argument is. Remember, you want to remind the reader, hey, this is what I was trying to get across in the paper. Then you should briefly review the major points of the body of the essay. Just very briefly review your 3 points of proof. The reader tends to remember the last thing he or she reads, and so this will keep that in their mind. And then finally, in the paper with an answer to a so what question, think about what the one thing you want your reader to know, think, feel, believe, or do as a result of reading your essay. Do you want your reader to go out and take some sort of action, or do you want your reader to buy something, or do you want your reader to understand something in a new way? Think of it this way. We all are always wanting to know what's in it for me, what matters to me. What about your paper could make an impact on the reader? What have you said that could benefit the reader? And so if you can conclude your paper with a sentence that deals with that, then your paper will be remembered long after it's put down. So to wrap this up, powerful and effective introductions and conclusions will make your essays stand out. A very good essay can come across as weak without a good introduction and conclusion, and a medium essay can really come off as more powerful if you have a good and effective introduction and conclusion. Don't forget these important aspects to your paper. If you have any questions about this, please email me. You may want to watch this again as you work on your own introduction and conclusion for your research paper.